Jeremiah Boucher, a commercial real estate investor with over 20 years experience. This show is designed to help you build your business, become a better real estate investor, and help you see opportunities that will keep you ahead of the competition. This is Finding Your Edge.
Yo, what's going on, brother?
My man, good.
First of all, I didn't want to bring this up, but
I got you $100, man.
in the last episode, boys and girls, for those who are following along the Finding Your Edge podcast, there was a gigantic wager on the Buffalo Bills versus the New England Patriots. And listen, I don't like bringing it up, but people keep telling me that we've, 3 wins in a row against the Patriots and 4 wins in a row, whatever it might be. It's just, listen, I'm not bringing this up. People keep talking about it. I say, listen, let's just relax here, all right? We know what the spankings we took over the years, but anyway, Jeremiah.
You deserve it, man. You got to run. You guys got a chance. Yeah.
Well, as I told Jeremiah when we were texting, I go, they should have played Zap. That's all I can say.
I know. The Patriots are hurt. I'm just landing here in LA, bud. Sorry, you got some background stuff.
We're fine. We're good. So where were you?
So,
what's going on? Let me hear what's happening in your life.
Yeah, big stuff. So nice thing is I'm in LA, and right now I'm on my way over to meet. I'm meeting with a major family office that everyone would know their name in the country. So that's going to be interesting. They're interested in storage. I got to connect with their CFO through a random podcast on YouTube where he was teaching or talking about fund administration and fund management. Struck up a conversation on LinkedIn, and then heading over to Santa Monica to connect. And I really want to see how these guys operate, and they're happy. They like what I'm doing. They see how I'm bootstrapping things, and I'm hungry and young. So we'll see what advice they give me and what interest they have.
Super cool that all of this really started with a podcast, and that's the beauty of this, right? It's for anyone that's listening and they're trying to figure out how to get attention or how to make sure that they're putting themselves out there. If you're a really good writer, then blog, right? I wasn't, and maybe Jeremiah is, but the best way for me, he's shaking his head no, the best way for me and people that I know that are out there and I guess people that are open to talking and being on camera is a podcast. So keep that in your mind if you're looking for something that maybe can get your word out and talk about your personal brand, because man, how important is personal branding. But okay, so
it had like only 200 views, but I mean, it was so specialized in what I needed, and then that ties into what's going on right now. So right now it's I think December 8th or 9th in 2022. So we're pushing on our 4th fund. We're launching December 15th. Same structure, going 25 million on the capital raise. A couple different pieces where we're incentivizing larger investors now. So if they invest over $500,000 or $1 million or $5 million, they get a higher class of shares and pref. But it's exciting because right now I got to raise $6 million in less than 10 days to close on the 5 deals that I got, and I'm gonna do it. I think we're gonna fucking overraise. So it's fun that I have that ability now, and I know right now the tax benefits of the investment. We're offering a 2-to-1 depreciation ratio. That's huge for us. So I mean, it's just light years away where I was from 3 years ago, but it's just kind of fun where the pressure's on. You got to raise the money fast, and you got to execute in order to get the deal. And we're retrading and pushing to the finish line. But it's been a ride, man. So time to go raise funds starting Tuesday.
Love that. So it's pressure's on, as we've talked about in the previous episodes, and what a privilege it is, right? And the pressure makes diamonds. So, that's why we do it. And it's exciting, right? Like, wouldn't you be bored if you didn't have another fund and another $6 million to raise in 5 days?
I know, my man. I love flying that right there too, man.
That's sick.
Cool.
That's sick. That's a different level.
Well, what I was thinking, with this is, I've had some changes in my finance department, and it forced me to go in and run the process again, which is great because it actually forced me to go back to 3 years ago when I was opening my first fund. So I went back to
learning the documents again, learning the portal, making sure I know every single nuance of it. And I'm excited to teach it, Marty. Like now I really remember everything that I did. And then now from a different perspective, now I understand it and I actually break it down into simple steps. So I'm definitely going to dig into sharing how to do a fund and how to administer it as well, manage and administer it.
Oh, that would be incredible. And maybe that's something that we could do in a show potentially is maybe you take over and the screen and kind of go through it a little bit or maybe just like the fundamentals on what people need to do when they first start their fund. I mean, whatever it might be, but anything that you can bring that talking about that and the experience of that, I think is very interesting because you don't see it a lot. You can't YouTube this stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's really hard to find. So having someone that has experience, that's done it full cycle on their fourth, and with this next meeting you're meeting with the ex-president, I'm sure is going to be a sixth fund of sorts. So yeah, very exciting stuff coming up down the line.
Yeah, it's and what I want to do and what I want to add value to you and the listeners is to take things that are somewhat complicated, and do the actual break it down to the essentials, the easy steps, and then as many subcontractors as you can get, hire out. So I'm excited about this relationship with InvestNext because Marty, I know you and we're not like Ivy League guys. We're basic we're basic guys that are great salesmen, that we work hard, we figure things out. And that's the whole point of this Finding Your Edge podcast. But the thing I want to get across is like, if we can build in a team of vendors or just employees or resources or mentors, that's going to help us get way, way farther than we could ever on our own. So with this particular case, InvestNext is coming on to do the fund administration, which is pretty sick because once you get your waterfall tables, meaning just once you get the profit share splits with you and your LPs, they put that in the software, and all you do is feed in the asset data, the financial data each month or quarter, and from there, and then calculate the distributions. Like we would just say, this is how much the actual property can generate and put into the fund. They're going to do it all from there. They're going to distribute it to your investors. They'll go in and consolidate the financials. They will send, you just input the data. They'll put out a nice report to your investors. And then we're taking it a step further and using a company called Profit 911 out of Iowa. And then those guys are just going into the investor accounts and then printing out their full statement. So the fund performance, the operational update, and then the actual statement of the investor. And then we put it out in a nice envelope and then send it out there every quarter. So these investors keep getting touched by us saying, here's just like Charles Schwab or any of these other investment companies, here's your statement, here's the performance of your investment. And, this is fully transparent. We're going to make sure good, bad, or indifferent, we're going to send it out to you and you always know what's going on.
Oh, that's incredible. That's like the next step, of course, in like scaling what you're already doing. And now it's going to like this enterprise level. Right. That you guys are going to, and it's super exciting and inspiring, and I think that's really why people are following along this journey is, yes, it's funny to even think this way, but like being that somebody's levels ahead like you are, it's like, wow, let's see how fucking far and big this guy can go and take this company. Like it's kind of fun. Just watch it, man. Yeah, and I hope other people think that too, and I think they do if they're still here for the journey.
Oh man, yeah, I hope so. I hope this is why I love this process for what we're doing. And what was perfect timing is that I know you all love the logo, but I got these white Bose headphones and I put them out in this really nice gift where it looked like a storage box and it's like a storage unit. And then you open it up to our 100 top investors. And then it says, eliminate the noise, focus on the plan that we've always been doing, focus on the plan ahead. And it has the engraving Patriot Holdings here on the headphone, and these cancel out the noise. And everybody loved it. There's a QR code. They saw my video. We'll probably put it in here into the, if we can edit it in here, then we got a ton of like really positive response. They loved how committed we are to them and they're committed to us. And that alone, probably generated a couple $1 million in investment. Just that friendly gesture right between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Super cool. Very cool. And I do love that. Even though it's, hey, I still think that there's so much value in just like thinking about things differently in regards to the investors and just the little things, right? That's a little thing. Now, but it's the thought of like, hey, I'm going to put this here and then this there, and I'm going to make that a storage unit. And it's like, wow, these guys are creative and they obviously care. And where are they going to go next? It's like, what's the next thing that's going to come down the line? Like, it's just an interesting thing, because here's the thing about doing that. I think, Jeremiah, and tell me if I'm wrong, they're going to tell their friends. Like, that's something that's like on someone's table. And they go, what's that? They go, well, that's a storage, it's this fund I'm in. And they go, shit, that's really cool. I want to talk to those guys, right? I think that there's definitely that happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure, man. It's to me, it's what it said in the book, it's a relationship game. Just what we've built over the last 6 months and with every investor that I've had, they've pretty much, everyone that started with me 10 years ago plus when I fundraised, they're with me today. Their family's with me. They work with me. Sometimes they're partners with me on parts of the company, so it's been really fun. And I don't think you can underestimate the power of the compounding benefits of solid relationships built on trust, built on, common values, on energy and like we talked about last week, the conflict, sometimes there's conflict. And that's okay, and working through that conflict and still coming up with a way where you work together and you support each other and you care for each other, even when you're in some tense situations, and I'm happy. I'm most proud of that right there. I think the relationships I built and, 300 or plus investors that are loyal and I'm loyal to them, that stuff's just growing now. And now it's making my job a lot easier. I mean, now it's less and less having to sell people and it's just communicating and connecting.
Yeah, I think, hearing what you're saying, like in regards to, having the vision, everyone having the same vision is really your responsibility, right, as the CEO. And likes may change, right? So the people in your organization, hey, you might not like certain things, but as long as the values are the same, and everyone values the underlying mission statement that is constantly being said. Like I heard something, Jeremiah, that it made a lot of sense to me, and maybe it does to you, but I'd like to hear what your thoughts are, is, don't say new things to old people. Say the same things to everyone in the new people. So like constantly say, like you may have to maybe word it differently, but you constantly have to continue saying the same message, even if it's still the same people in your organization. It's that constant message. And I thought about it in my old career of like just hearing the same things constantly from my CEO. And I may have disagreed with some of the things that he did, but the thought of constantly hearing that message of we're taking it to the next level, and hearing that all the time. Does that make sense to you? Is that something that resonates?
Yeah, I'm feeling it. When we're doing the interviews, and I'm sure what public personalities have to deal with is, like you're saying, as long as you're aligned with what your values and beliefs and your core, I guess just your, like the core things that are most important to you, you got to keep sharing them. I mean, that's just, the I think to have that integrity and character with who you are. So I do feel that. I feel like it is a very consistent message that I continually deliver. And now having to do that annual event with my company in LA and then getting everyone rallied around it and then sharing, our philosophy as investors and then writing the book. I mean, these common themes come up, and I just did a post yesterday on LinkedIn, and to me, it was like, just win the day, like just like in sports, like the battle where, if you're a competitive in sports growing up, you got to win the battle with the guy in front of you. And then if everyone wins that battle, then you win as a team, right? So the way I relate it to today is, for me, is like the day is the guy in front of you. Like every single day, you got to bring it and beat the day where you did something uncomfortable and you overcame some different obstacles or challenges or discomfort. And then that day will then continue to string together the next day, and then a year, and then a decade. And that's what I want to hold the standard to myself. And I try to translate that to the organization. So to what you said, you keep that theme and that excitement, and there's ups and downs, but you just keep saying the same message, day in and day out. And that message for me is, it's those 6 principles, man. It's like, master your craft. It's, there's going to be ups and downs. It's an emotional roller coaster. You got to hang in there. Don't get shook. You got to stay in there for the long haul and be patient, have perspective. You'll be creative and innovative. You got to look at it from a different angle and don't be a sucker waiting at the back of the table, the back of the line. You got to do something different. Build the relationships, do the extra little things that make people smile when you call them on the phone. And then lastly, it's like believe in yourself and make a move, take a position. The best day to plant a tree is 20 years ago. So if you can't do that, plant it today, right? And that's it. I just say to over and over and push.
Yeah, go back and listen to that again, because I need to go back and listen to that again, because it's super tough at times to it's easy to forget those things that you just mentioned, right? And I think that is the responsibility, if you want to take yourself to the next level, is to really ground yourself in those principles that you just mentioned. And when the going gets tough, remember those things and say, listen, this is my value as a person is not based on what happened today, right? Or what I may or may not have gotten in a transaction. It's what type of character am I developing over time? I think that's really the win. And that's what I'm excited about, is like, I've really now started to, Jeremiah, think about this as a really like, what is this going to look like in 20 years? Like, right. What is this going to really look like in 20 years? So now my decisions that I make now, it's like, could I get this no-brainer single family or duplex or triplex? Sure. But what is that going to look like for me in 20 years? Is that really where I want to be in 20 years? And it's not. So I think that people that are maybe going through the same, maybe the same walk as I am, or someone newer that's looking to turn into commercial, or even somebody that's maybe on your side that's moving into even a larger, or maybe like a publicly traded company type of thing, right? Is just remembering that, think long term, and just remember that it's not going to happen overnight, and just keep it strong, keep it tight, and make sure that your energy, your number one thing, is that you are 100% responsibility for the energy that you bring to a room.
Yes. It's funny. I just listened to a podcast with Robert Greene and Lewis Howell, and he said on YouTube, it just came out, and the number one thing he said is, Robert Greene wrote 6 books about mastery, about seduction, about the art of war, about 50 Cent's rise to power, and that whole deal. And the number one thing he said is that after learning all of this stuff, the one common denominator is for success is a person's attitude. Number one, whatever attitude you bring, and meaning I think whatever perspective you bring to life, are you pissed off? Are people out to hurt you? Is everybody trying to take advantage of you? Versus, are people deep down, do they want the best for themselves and their family? Are people decent? Or anything, any way you want to look at life, an obstacle, this happened to me because, I'm a victim, or this happened to me and I'm going to learn and grow so much from it. So it's self-help shit that, sometimes seems, trite, but, when you lose someone important to you, or when you have a major injury, or when you have a major financial loss, you got to find these things that trigger that attitude. Because, it's easy to have an attitude when you're fucking on the beach, right? And you got $10 million in the bank. It's not easy, right? When you got, I'm dealing with another investment that I dealt with in an oil and gas company that I was just a limited partner in. And right now it is a shit show, dude. There's, they raised $18 million and it's falling apart. And there's another crypto deal I invested in the same way. Same fucking thing. And it's, it's part of being an LP investor. I have no control over it. I might lose my investment, that the value is dramatically down. And now I'm seeing what these companies have to deal with when the heat is on. So it's not always rosy, and God, I've been fortunate enough that everything I've gotten I've gotten through it. I've never lost any major assets or money for investors, but it's that disciplined approach where for me, it's like, sticking to these fundamentals. If you don't get in front of it and you don't communicate, and even in good and bad times, that shit is really, really could get out of hand and unravel. So it's just something that I'm seeing where the attitude, the values that we have, for you and I in this business, and then sponsors coming up, we just got to stick to it day in and day out. That way, I'd rather know, okay, it didn't go to plan, but let's get in front of it. And when I see this, and the advice I have for some of the executive board is like, guys, this is candid. Me, as a one entrepreneur business owner to another, you're not bringing it on the board meetings. You're not instilling confidence in people. Fucking people aren't getting their returns, and you guys are a year and a half late on the business plan. But that to me is understandable in economic turmoil. But if I don't have a leader in the front that's fucking getting everyone amped up and saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm taking personal responsibility, and these are the plans ahead. And this is not some fairy tale wish that we're going to get some loan out of nowhere to get this thing turned around, and we're going to make these cuts in order to make it happen. Like, you need that type of conviction in those moments. And we're listening to a business podcast. I mean, this is the arena we're playing in. This isn't fucking fairy tales, right? It's not a movie. It's not a sports thing. We're not spectators. We are in the game. We are in the arena. If you're listening to this, you're playing the game. And this is the highest form of the game as the leader, is getting in front of this shit and really communicating from the front and really understanding that's mastering your craft. Like, share, this is how I'm growing the company. This is what I'm doing to help you keep your money and grow your money. So it's just so important when I think we're going to have some tough times ahead, to really be able to build in the skills now and that attitude for being able to take on the capacity of some real tough times. And I want to be ready for it when they come.
Yeah, that just makes you want to be how do I say this? It's like, you got to be a wartime general. Like, are you going to be a wartime general, right? Are you willing to be a wartime general? And listen, either you are or you're not. And if you are, then it's something where it's like, you have to have it like more than anybody. And you got to want it more than anybody. And you got to have the conviction, absolutely, 100%, because it's so easy to just break. Like, it's a simple thing to do. It's like, it's way harder to keep people in it. Make sure that, because you need the self-belief, because you need to figure out a way to keep that self-belief motor going, because it's infectious to other people. And if you don't have it, it's immediately noticeable. And you don't even show up to the meeting if you're going to be
100%. That's right. In that Robert Greene, in that interview, he said the number one language that we all understand, but we don't know or acknowledge it, is the body language. It's the tone of your voice. It's where your eyes go when you're communicating. It's where your facial expressions go. It's very, very difficult. You have to be a psychopath to be able to manipulate those and truly lie through all your body languages. If any intelligent person is watching and reading your energy, they're going to have an intuition about what your true intentions are and how you're expressing it. Whoa! It's just like, yeah.
Doesn't that get you amped up? This is the stuff that gets me amped up. This is the stuff that I like to really figure out and get better at and make sure that like I said, just bringing my energy and being 100% responsible for it, because that's the one thing that I think people should be thinking about is like, hey, what am I going to do to bring my energy to this room, and how am I going to be able to affect the people that are in this room?
And you have absolute control over that. That's
you have 100%
thing.
Yep.
That's it. Yep.
So,
at the end of the day, though, I think it's not some positive pump up thing. It's really like you did the work.
Right.
Really, you understand the business. You understand the numbers behind the business, right? You really put the time into to overcome the obstacles so that you are able to stand up freely and share that part of mastering your craft. So it's just like, it's pretty exciting. And we're all going to have good and bad days, but what I said on another post, Marty, and I really enjoyed it, listening to James Clear, some of his highlights on his book about atomic habits. It was like, pick habits and pick continual activities that you can consistently do on your worst day. That's the key. So, like we both walk with the weight vest.
Yep.
I can do that on my worst day.
Yep.
Like, I can't go run 5 miles in a certain time every day. That's not,
right.
That's just, my body can't do it.
Yep.
But I can always get up and walk and do my exercise on my worst day, that like the basics. So I just was thinking, if we're doing these things, these habits and what we can sustainably do over time, even on our worst day, we can bring it in a way that's elevated light years away from the average person, because they didn't do any of those things during all those days.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, that's where the conviction comes from, is when you're doing the things that you don't want to do on your worst day, but then you do them, and then the feeling and the confidence and the win that you get when you accomplish those things, it allows you to then, when you go in a room, command that respect, because you, number one, have 100% respect from yourself, because you're not going to be able to get respect from other people if you don't 100% respect yourself.
That's it, man. That is it. And that's the fun of this whole roller coaster ride of life, the ups and downs, right?
No kid.
So, well, I'm gonna hit this meeting, and I know you got to go to Toronto. So
I'm going to Toronto. I got Christmas parties to go to. You got big meetings to go to, kind of the same thing, really. And anyway, guys, that's the episode. Finding your edge. Find it, for crying out loud. It's there. It's inside.
Yes.
All right, guys. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.
All right, man.
All right.
Good trip, brother.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
For more information on commercial real estate investing, go to patriotholdings.com. Thanks for listening to Finding Your Edge.